It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time. And I say Eastern Time because I'm in Griffin, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. I'm moving Atlanta up on my list of favorite cities to drive through. It's really close to Chicago. And for those that cannot perceive sarcasm, that is sarcasm. I do not like driving through Atlanta or Chicago. Horrid. No matter when I've come through Atlanta, the traffic is always bad. It doesn't. I've driven through in the middle of the afternoon when everybody's supposed to be at work. What are all these people doing on the road? I have no idea. It must be nice not having to have a job. But hey, I digress. This is my, here I'm trying to carefully and safely walk across this partially paved surface. This is my load all the way from Peoria, Illinois. If I was truly a French person, I would leave out the pronunciation or enunciation of the S, because that's what they do in French language. They tend to, the last letter in most of their words is silent, but I am an America, and so I pronounce all the letters. It was an interesting start of the week, and it's kind of odd to say that since it's Wednesday already, and I'm in Georgia. But this is what I got. I delivered my steel tubing on Monday from the previous video on a back country road in the middle of nowhere with an excavator, which was cool. I don't mind. If I can get in, I can get out. That's all that matters. And dropped that off at around 2 in the afternoon, 2:30. By the time I was done with it, my next to load assignment said, hey, go to this location in Peoria, Illinois, and pick up this stuff at 3. And I'm like, huh, that's 45 minutes from now, but it's going to take me over an hour to get there. That's interesting. It happens on occasion. You get these kind of crazy assignments that you're given. Pretty rare for me. I'm sorry if it's more of an occurrence for others. So I got there, and according to the shipper, they stopped their live loading at 3 p.m. like the assignment said. Well, I was there at 3:11 and discovered that even though I was not there by the appointed time, as would have been against the laws of physics for me to get there any sooner, because my truck can only drive so fast. I waited until the morning. Unfortunately, you can check in by 7 a.m. But they don't load until 9. They don't start loading until 9 a.m. So, for those that are curious about how I strapped my particular load, it was very similar to that. It was just straps. But I actually I used my plastic edge protection. They're really wide. And even though I can tell by the way they load and unload this product, it isn't really, they don't need to be very cautious if they damage this product, apparently. As you can see, it's flat on the deck. There's no dunnage. It's because when they fork this stuff, all day long they're forking this in the side, picking it up and pulling it off. They just stick. You can see right here slight deviation in the straightness of the wire in certain locations, because that's where they forked it. Oh, here's a good example. That's a really good forking right there. And because of the way they fork this material with the forklift, and they pick it up. You can see two peaks actually on this one. They insert their forks and lift it up with the middle of the stack, and these wires here, they're loose, but they hold it together. But it's when you're watching them load and unload, you can tell the concern is not so much that they put any type of creases into the metal, so it leads me to believe this stuff is not used for cosmetic purposes. And you can put your comments below as to what you think this stuff is used for. I personally don't care. But I know you guys, some of you like to talk about this stuff, so I'm showing it, so feel free to talk about it. Anyway, it's a crisp 47 degrees here in Griffin, Georgia. And I assumed I would get here by 1, and lo and behold, I made it here by 12:30. Finished unstrapping and everything by 1 o'clock. But I have a scheduled appointment of 2, and they're completing the load of this individual here that you can see. That's where I'll move, is my next position. They are loading him and unloading me. In fact, the name of this company is the exact same name of the company I picked it up from in Illinois, so it's just a transfer between the two companies, or I guess the same company, just in 2 different locations. I think a thing that slowed me down for Monday was that when I went to start my day, I went like 1.5 miles to the pilot station, which is next to the Maverick, Madison, Illinois yard. I fueled up and then pulled forward as is customary and as is courteous. If you're a driver and you're fueling, when you're done fueling, pull forward so other people can get their fuel. Don't do your half-hour break in the fuel island. That is just discourteous and rude, in my opinion. And I have a feeling many others would agree with me. So I went inside after fueling to wash my hands, as I do always. Came back out and my truck would not start. It had plenty enough juice. As you can hear the horn, that's the next requirement when going through their building, because that's the only way to exit, they say. You have to honk your loud horn. She said, not your city horn, your big horn. And I'm going to enjoy going through that, honking my big horn frequently. So because my starter would not start the truck, it was nothing happening. I did my little tricks of opening the hood, tapping on the starter, the solenoid, trying to, I figure some of, it's going bad. And but I couldn't get it started, so they came out and tried to jump start me, but I knew the batteries were good. That it had no effect. So he actually switched it to what he called 24-volt mode, because he had a rack of batteries that he was plugged into, and it was wired for in certain configurations that he could just plug directly into, whether 12 volt, and there was a connection for 24 volt. He says this should help you get started even though this starter's probably going bad. So he hooked it up to the 24 volt and said, okay, now try it, and it started right up. I took it right back to the Madison yard 1 mile away, and they put a new starter in there as far as I know. And it's been running great ever since, but that slowed down my Monday. And I would have been that much sooner to my drop-off location and would have made it to this pickup location right on time. Within plenty of time to get loaded yesterday and drive part of the way here, but since it was I have to look down because I'd hate to earn safety points for tripping on any of this stuff, because it would be my fault. Anyway, that's it. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And I appreciate your comments. A lot of people have some good things to say, and I appreciate that. There are every once in a while negative comments. I don't let them affect me, but it's kind of funny that why would you watch a channel that you don't like? If there's something I'm watching on YouTube, which I watch a lot of YouTube when I am parked, not while I drive. If there's something I don't like, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I don't really enjoy this very much. I think I'll find something else to watch. There are people that I think they've made a career out of watching videos they don't like so they can provide their negative criticism. Okay, free country. Seems like a waste of time to me, but you can, whatever you get enjoyment out of, if that you get enjoyment out of being negative, good. See you tomorrow or some other time.